Stephen Callahan. In 1982, Stephen Callahan set out to sail across the Atlantic Ocean alone in his small yacht called Napoleon Solo. 6 days into the voyage, something struck his yacht in the middle of the night. Water flooded in, and the boat began to sink within minutes. He managed to escape into an inflatable raft, grabbing only a small bag of emergency supplies, a spear gun, and a few tools before the yacht went down. To get fresh water, he used solar stills to evaporate seawater and collected rain whenever storms passed over his raft. For food, he speared fish with a homemade spear and ate them raw. Over time, fish gathered under his raft, and he caught birds that landed nearby. He tracked the stars and ocean currents to estimate his position, slowly drifting west toward the Caribbean islands. His raft started leaking and nearly sank several times. He spent hours patching holes while sharks circled around him in the open water. After 76 days, fishermen near the island of Guadeloupe spotted birds above his raft and came to investigate. They found Stephen alive and pulled him aboard. In total, Stephen Callahan survived 76 days alone at sea and drifted more than 1,800 miles. The Andes disaster. On October 13, 1972, a plane carrying 45 people crashed high in the Andes Mountains. The temperature dropped below -30 degrees Celsius. 29 people survived the initial crash, but they were stranded at over 3,500 meters, with almost no food and no rescue coming. Search teams gave up after 8 days. Their tiny supply of food ran out. Starvation became a real and deadly threat. The survivors faced an impossible choice. To stay alive, they made a horrifying decision. They ate the bodies of those who had died in the crash. It was the only way to survive. After 60 days, two men, Nando Parado and Roberto Canessa, decided to walk for help. With no climbing gear, they hiked for 10 days across freezing mountain peaks. Incredibly, they found a shepherd and brought rescuers back. 16 survivors were finally saved, 72 days after the crash. Aron Ralston. In 2003, a man got trapped in a canyon for 127 hours. To survive, he did the unthinkable. His name was Aron Ralston. He went hiking alone in Blue John Canyon, Utah. He told no one where he was going. While climbing, an 800-pound boulder shifted. It crushed his right hand against the canyon wall. He was completely trapped. No one was coming. For 5 days, he tried everything. He chipped at the rock with a dull knife. He ran out of food and water. He even drank his own urine to stay alive. By day 5, he knew the truth. To live, he had to cut off his own arm. Using a cheap, dull multi-tool, he broke his own bones and amputated his arm below the elbow. It took him about an hour. Then, bleeding heavily, he rappelled down a 65-foot wall. He hiked for hours until rescuers found him. Aron survived. His story became the movie 127 Hours. And he still climbs mountains today. Hiroo Onoda. In 1944, Japanese soldier Hiroo Onoda was sent to a small island in the Philippines. His task was to hold the island and under no circumstances to surrender. In 1945, World War II ended. But nobody told Onoda. He didn't believe it. He hid in the jungle with a few other soldiers. They ate coconuts, bananas, and stole cattle from local farmers. The army dropped leaflets saying the war was over. Onoda thought it was an enemy trick. He refused to leave. One by one, his comrades died or surrendered. By 1972, Onoda was completely alone. For nearly 30 years, he kept fighting an imaginary war. He carried out raids and avoided capture again and again. In 1974, a young traveler finally found him, but Onoda still wouldn't give up, without an order. His old commander was flown in to officially relieve him of duty. Only then did Onoda lay down his rifle. After 29 years, Hiroo Onoda's war was finally over. Juliane Koepcke. On Christmas Eve 1971, a 17-year-old girl boarded a plane in Peru. Her name was Juliane Koepcke. Mid-flight, lightning struck the aircraft. The plane tore apart in the air. She fell over 3,000 meters, yet she survived. Experts believe the seat row spun like a helicopter, and the thick jungle canopy softened her landing. She woke up alone, with a broken collarbone and a deep cut on her arm. She was the only survivor. Surrounded by deadly insects and snakes, Juliane remembered her father's advice: follow flowing water to find people. So she waded down a river for 11 days. She had almost no food, and maggots infested her wound. On the 11th day, she found a small boat and a shelter. Hours later, local lumberjacks discovered her and brought her to safety. Mauro Prosperi. In 1994, an Italian athlete named Mauro Prosperi entered one of the toughest races on Irval, the Marathon des Sables, a 250-kilometer run across the Sahara Desert. On the fourth day, a violent sandstorm hit. The wind raged for hours. The landscape was unrecognizable. He was completely lost. With no clear direction, Mauro kept moving, but each step took him deeper into the desert. He had almost no water and only a small amount of food left. To survive the brutal heat, Mauro made a desperate choice. When his water ran out, he began drinking his own urine to stay alive. After days of wandering, he found an abandoned Muslim shrine. Inside, bats were resting on the ceiling. Starving, Mauro caught them, tore them apart, and drank their blood to survive. At his lowest point, Mauro believed he would never escape. He even attempted to take his own life, but he was so dehydrated that his blood was too thick to flow. That failure gave him a strange new will. He decided to keep going, following the morning dew and the flight of clouds to find direction. After 9 days lost in the Sahara, Mauro stumbled upon a nomad family. They gave him food and water and took him to safety. He had walked nearly 300 kilometers off course, into Algeria. Mauro lost 18 kilograms, and it took him almost 2 years to recover. 4 years later, he ran the very same marathon again. Vesna Vulović. A woman survived a fall from 33,000 feet without a parachute. Her name was Vesna Vulović. In 1972, she was a 22-year-old flight attendant from Yugoslavia. On January 26th, a bomb exploded on her plane. The aircraft broke apart in the sky, over 10,000 meters above the ground. Vesna fell more than 10 kilometers without a parachute. A part of the plane and the deep snow softened her impact. She was found badly injured, but alive. She broke her skull, legs, and spine. Doctors saved her, and after months of recovery, she could walk again. Vesna Vulović holds the Guinness World Record for the highest fall survived without a parachute, 10,160 meters. José Salvador Alvarenga. In November 2012, a fisherman left the coast of Mexico for a one-day trip. His name was José Salvador Alvarenga. A storm hit. His engine died, his radio failed. His boat was pushed into the open Pacific Ocean. To survive, he caught fish with his bare hands. He grabbed sea turtles and seabirds. When it didn't rain, he drank turtle blood and his own urine. He drifted over 10,000 kilometers across the Pacific. That's nearly a quarter of the way around the Earth. After 14 months at sea, his boat washed ashore on the Marshall Islands. Against all odds, he was alive. José Salvador Alvarenga became one of the greatest survival stories ever recorded. Anna Bagenholm. In 1999, a woman survived something doctors called impossible. Anna Bagenholm was skiing in Norway with her friends. She lost control and fell onto a frozen stream. The ice broke. Anna slipped headfirst into the freezing water, trapped beneath a thick layer of ice. She found a tiny air pocket and breathed for a few minutes. But soon, her heart stopped. Anna stayed under the icy water for 80 minutes. Her body temperature dropped to just 13.7 degrees Celsius, the lowest ever recorded in a survivor. When rescuers finally pulled her free, she had no pulse. She was technically dead. At the hospital, doctors slowly warmed her blood. After hours of effort, her heart started beating again. The extreme cold had actually saved her. It slowed her body so much that her brain survived without oxygen. Anna made a near-full recovery and returned to work as a radiologist in the very hospital that saved her life. Nicholas Alkemade. March 1944. British airman Nicholas Alkemade was flying a mission over Germany in a Lancaster bomber. Suddenly, his bomber was hit by enemy fire. The plane burst into flames. He reached for his parachute, but it was already on fire, completely destroyed. He jumped, falling over 18,000 feet. That's nearly 5,500 meters, with no parachute at all. Pine trees broke his fall, and a thick layer of snow cushioned the impact. He survived, with only a sprained leg and minor injuries. German soldiers found him and refused to believe his story until they saw the burned remains of his parachute. Peter Skyllberg. In February 2012, in northern Sweden, a man was found alive inside a car buried under snow. He had been trapped there for 2 whole months. Snowmobilers spotted the vehicle near Umeå. They thought it was just an abandoned wreck. But when they dug through the snow, they found Peter Skyllberg, barely alive, lying in the back seat. Peter had been stuck since December. That's nearly 60 days in temperatures that dropped to minus 30 degrees Celsius. He had almost no food. According to reports, he ate nothing but snow for water. Experts believe the snow acted like an igloo, insulating the car. His body may have entered a state similar to hibernation, slowing down to survive. When found, he could barely speak or move. But somehow, Peter Skyllberg survived.